to this exclusive interview with the DGD podcast. As always, Robert Reynolds got Barry Tate. Barry Tate, 2023 receiver slash running back out of Northeast Guilford up here in Greensboro, McLeansville to be specific. Barry, welcome. And thank you for taking some time to sit down and talk a little bit about some recruitment things, some camp experiences, a little bit of general stuff. Thanks for taking some time, man, and looking forward to this interview per se.
No, thank you for having me.
So I want to jump straight into this. If anybody's listening and you look up Barry Tate, he may not be a name that you're aware of right now, but if you watch this, I promise you, it's a name you need to focus on. I promise. Just watch. But if you look it up, I'm telling you right now, we're going to go ahead and get the elephant out of the room. He may not be the biggest receiver you've ever seen. My man's 5'9". But I'm telling you right now, you can't teach speed, and my man's got it. My man's running 4.3, right? And that's important. So, Barry, obviously, I want to talk to you about, how you use your speed as a advantage to you. Obviously, with the size disadvantage, when you look at your tape and everything like that, you've got offers from just shoot some of your offers currently right now.
Yeah, Boston College, Wake Forest, NC State, Florida. That's about it right now.
You hear that?
No,
though,
Navy.
For now.
Yeah.
For now. So, I want to ask you first question, right? Watching the tape, I've seen it, right? Explain your style of play, right? And afterwards, I'll kind of explain it for people that are interested in doing so. But I'm gonna let you explain how you play, man, and then we'll talk more about that.
How I play, I would say it's very electric. Like I like to, blow past defenders. Like to use my speed to, keep defenders off balance. I might sometimes like take it slow on the route, but still going 100% and just break it off at the top of the route. And it's choppy. I like to talk. That's one thing I do. Like I like to talk.
Yeah, it's a good thing to have.
So yeah, I like to talk, but that's about it right there.
And obviously you talk about, obviously that everybody looks at size. And listen, to me, I find it funny that people look at somebody based off of their size and immediately discard them. It's the farthest thing from being the right thing to do. Right. There was one guy, and we were talking offline just a little bit earlier. There was a guy named Tavon Austin that played at West Virginia that was not the tallest receiver, but he's a game changer. Speed, elusiveness, right? That twitch per se. Listen, watching the tape, I've seen all of that, right? And it shows, right? I don't care. People can talk about the level of competition. Come at me with a different situation, man. I ain't worried about that. I look at what you can do on the tape and the elusiveness, the speed. It shows, right? And that's going to translate to the next level. It just has to, right? So, obviously you've talked about some of your, offers currently, right? And we've talked a little bit about some plans for the future, right? I know you're expecting, you're heading up, you're heading up Ohio State this weekend, right?
Yeah.
And then
Georgia at the end of the month.
Okay.
Then over the summer, take a lot of visits. I'm gonna take one to Boston to visit. Yeah, Boston College. I'm going to Florida, of course, and then I'm gonna take a visit to Alabama.
So you got a busy spring and summer, basically is what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Busy summer and spring, man. And listen, and the crazy thing is, you still got to prep for the season, right? Coming up in the fall. Yeah. So I want to ask you this. How do you manage, right? Obviously prepping for the season. How do you manage the time and prep based off of the season, and then also the college visits and things? What's that like?
I would say like I kind of like take like everything has to be like planned out. Like I don't ever like just hop up and have to do something because then I might have like I scheduled workout here, but I scheduled a visit. So everything has to be planned out. I run it by like my dad because of course they're taking me to the visit. So like I plan it out, work out throughout the week, and I usually like keep the visits on like a Friday, Saturday, the weekend. So
Now, so I know obviously you said you're visiting Ohio State this weekend, and listen, from a receiver, if I'm a receiver, Ohio State's probably one of the biggest schools you could look at. Period. Right, just based off of
yeah.
Coach Hartline, the development, right, a recruiting process, like all of that. Right, so that's a big deal. What are you looking forward to on that visit this
Just
weekend?
seeing the campus, getting familiar with the facilities, meeting the coaches in person because like with COVID, when COVID started, the 2022 class, there wasn't a lot of, they weren't able to go on visits because of COVID. So that's why I would say the transfer portal is like really,
Yeah.
really hot right now because,
Oh yeah.
yeah, they weren't able to go. So they were just competing off of, let's say, they just liked the school or just had a conversation with the coaches over the phone, like actually meeting the coaches and getting to know them personally, like gives you a better idea of how you would handle like deal with the coaches in person over that time. Because like making that decision, you for 4 years, 3 years, you're
Yeah.
gonna be stuck with that coach for like that time being. So
Yeah, I mean, you should expect it in that case, right? Like,
yeah,
obviously, you've got certain factors, right? The transfer portal and things like that. Like there's options now, right? So you're not like, it's not like in the past, right? Um, but I think, well, obviously, you look at Ohio State being a big deal, right? And obviously, I don't think they've offered yet, but I mean, there is that potential that they do offer if they like what they see, right? And
yeah,
that would be a huge offer. I can imagine. I'm not gonna lie about that. If you're a receiver and you get an offer from Ohio State, I'm telling you that's a big deal. Right? That's just a big deal.
yeah. No,
It is what it is.
because I mean, yeah, I think like as many receivers have came out of there,
There's
players
been
alone.
a ton of them. Been a ton of them, right?
Yeah, so
Now, you also said you're visiting Georgia at the end of the month. How's your relationship like with Coach BMAC? Right, obviously coming in the offseason, right, replacing Coach Hankton.
yeah,
Um,
no, that's my guy. We were talking like before he replaced coach. We were talking before that, just talking about like plans and how I could fit in at Georgia and like
mhm,
how I could like just like he's giving me like different ways to use my speed on the field, which I really like help like just different releases. We talked to me like breaking down my film. Like I know like most coaches I've talked to, they don't really do that, but like he like actually like giving me tips to become a better receiver all around with just like blocking, taking the top off the defense, things I could translate to the next level.
yeah. Now, did you talk to Coach BMAC when he was at Miami too, or no?
Yeah,
You did. Okay.
so
I figured you probably did because I know Miami's a big school that you like, right? Um,
yeah,
so I'm assuming you're probably still in talks with Miami as well. I would have to believe, man. Like you have that South Florida speed, right? So in my
yeah,
opinion, I think if I'm Miami and I see something like that, you best believe I'm going to sit there and work on that. Period. Like
yeah.
you just got
I
to
mean,
at that point. You know what I mean?
I still in contact. Like it hasn't like skipped a beat like since he left. Like when he left, it was like him just still being there with the relationship with the rest of the coaches. Handwritten letters. Just them still being able to contact me and just keeping everything like familiar.
Would you say with Coach BMAC, right? When he got to Georgia, have you seen it as like have you seen an increase in attention from Georgia since he's been there? And if so, how much?
Yeah, of course. Like I've seen like a lot, because like Coach VMAC, his name holds weight in you know the area of coaches. So
Oh yeah, I mean his I don't know if you're familiar with this, Barry, but when he was at Georgia before just as a running backs coach, and some of the names just from North Carolina alone, I think you might remember, right? Todd Gurley,
yeah,
Keith Marshall.
uh-huh.
Now that's just North Carolina for the most part, right? But he's also had guys like Chubb and Michelle too. So you kind of see like he can develop, right? He can develop,
Yeah,
he can recruit. So when you say his name holds merit, it definitely does, especially with Georgia
yeah,
fans because we know all about him when he was at Georgia beforehand.
yeah. So like a coach like that can develop a player from being in a college to what I would want to do going to the NFL. Like why wouldn't you want to you know, play for that coach.
I'm with you 100% there, man. Now, obviously we've talked about your recruitment a little bit, and a big factor in recruitment is getting exposure, and that's things like camps, right? So you were able to go to the Rivals camp in Charlotte recently. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So I want to ask you, what was your experience like with that?
Um,
Just for the most part, all we know for the most part, like fans, things like that. You kind of see like little highlights of things, but there's a lot more to it. Walk us through a little bit of a day in the life in that Rivals camp.
I think it was kind of like early in the morning. We had check in at like 11. So me being from Greensboro, having to drive that like hour and a half
Yeah,
all the
that's
way
a,
up
that's
to
a quick trip. Quick trip.
yeah. So we went up there. We went up there, check in, got measurables, like basic things. Walked in, did a couple interviews with just like 24/7 people, rivals that were there that wanted to, talk to me about recruiting. Um, got my boy Jonathan. So then after that, we stretched. They broke like talk, stretched, broke us up into position groups. We did a couple of drills, and then it was time to compete. So then we did like this running back drill to where it was like not running back drill. You can't really say that, but like it was like you could juke the dude to score, but you had to stay in that area. So
Yeah,
like
it's kind of like
it's like
I would say
working,
it's Oklahoma drill, but maybe.
yeah, but it's like working tight space, like working your move in
Yeah,
tight
I know what you're
spaces.
talking about. You basically
So
the drill where you basically set up in between pads, and then you as a running back you basically run. You choose your side.
yeah,
Yeah, I remember doing those in high school. I was good at that shit too. I ain't gonna lie, that was fun.
yeah, nah,
Like,
I like it
no,
was
I
it was easy, but like I don't know what like it was easy, but it was just like that certain area like I would bounce out because I'm so used to like bouncing out. So like when I would
Yeah,
make my move,
it's your style of play. It's your style of play.
yeah,
You're used to the jukes. You're used to the twitch and elusiveness. Sometimes when that in that instance, if I'm not mistaken, you just have to go off almost like instinct and just put your head down and go.
yeah, like me and Jonathan, we were talking, we were like, man, this is crazy. Like it was like everything was. Then we did one on ones, and then it was like time for awards, and then we left around 3 o'clock.
There you go. That's basically a day in the life of of a major camp. That's fun stuff to know. Now you talked about Jonathan. For anybody that's curious, Jonathan, he's referring to as Jonathan Paylor, 2024, out of Burlington Cummings. He's top 50 player in the 24 class. Um, obviously there was another camp that I want to bring up to you. It was a 707 camp, and we talked about this. It was up here in Greensboro as well at the
Yeah, the
basically at
pylon.
Smith Pylon 707. Yeah. Now we were talking about this, and if I'm not mistaken, you had yourself a damn day at that one for sure.
Yeah, nah, like I mean, I to be honest, I haven't like me playing receiver, I've never really had like a DB like really just like like make me not like r- go into my route or like actually like shut me down, like stop me at the line.
Not press you enough.
Yeah, like nah, like I've never had a DB like every DB I went against, like there's a couple, that don't know me, so they
Yeah.
press me. So they like hey, like most of them they don't press me. They usually sit like back 5 yards to give themselves some cushion. But with all like the training I do and like just knowledge from college players, my uncle, my dad, taking away that cushion and like making them uneasy. So like nah, yeah, it was great. Like I think I went. There was nobody to stop me. I went and like had like 10 touchdowns that day.
I mean that's a good performance. Is all I'm gonna say. Now, so one of the things we talked about, right? Like, so at the next level, right? Wherever you go, do you? Now, I know you do running back and you do receiver. What do you see yourself doing? Like, do you have a preference in position, or what are
Preference
your
in
thoughts on that?
position.
Yeah, do you have a
Uh,
preference there?
Yeah, like receiver, like I feel like as a running back, like I could be like a deadly running back, like but receiver, like I mean, if you look at like my film, like you see the route running for itself, like running back is kind of like set up just for yourself, like you just get the ball run, like how a kick return, punt return is. But
Yep.
I like receiver, it's more like I'm not saying running backs aren't skilled because it takes a lot of skill to play running back. Like
It does.
a
I
lot,
agree.
yeah. But receivers, it's more fun to me. Like going
I
up,
think, and see, and my thing is, I feel like at the next level, you can be a receiver that focuses out of the slot and gets the ball in space. Because to me, watching your tape, it seems like you work best in space, right? Uh,
yeah,
Not saying that you can't run routes and be covered and shit like that. I'm not saying that, but at your best, I feel like you have space and you make guys miss, right? I don't know how many times I've seen ankles just fall back that way, right? Just go back that way. It's just what it is. So, I'm kind of with you on that right there in regards to my evaluation as, wherever you go, I feel like at the next level, receiving wise, I think if you slot receiver in space, right, the speed being a mismatch for a slot corner or a linebacker, depending on schematics, right? I think that would not only give yourself the benefit, but your team of your choice as well, right? I think that's a big deal, and that's another thing. Like I said when we alluded to it back earlier, size matters, but it doesn't matter that much. If you've got speed and
yeah,
elusiveness, like you can see guys in space, and next thing you know, you're hitting your head on the goalpost, right? It's just what it is.
yeah,
So
yeah.
obviously,
Like,
we're talking about that right there. I want to touch back on one little piece here. All right, you talked about Georgia at the end of the month. What are you anticipating? What are you excited for the most about that Georgia visit?
excited for the most. They just won a national championship. Who wouldn't want to be going to Georgia or even getting recruited by Georgia after winning a national championship? That says like that's like when LSU won, like every like with having the two receivers like Jamar Chase,
And
so
Justin,
many
yeah,
great
that was insane.
receivers, yeah, come out of LSU. Like that's like getting recruited by LSU. Like who wouldn't want to get recruited by LSU? So
Yeah, no, and that's the thing. I think one of the interesting things, and I want to get your outside perspective on this. You look at Georgia, right? We've got receivers, but the main emphasis right now, I would have to say, is tight ends, right? You've got
yeah,
Brock Bowers, you've got Eric Gilbert, that obviously the LSU transfer that came in, and now he's there. You still got
uh-huh.
Darnell Washington, which at 6'7" is insane, and then you got Oscar Delp that just came in at 6'4", 6'5", running a 4.5, right? And Georgia's kind of, I don't know if you've watched a ton of Georgia football, but last year we utilized Brock Bowers and ran it for close to 900 yards receiving, which from
Yeah,
a tight end
no,
standpoint, that's insane.
yeah, Georgia's one of my favorite teams. So like college wise. So I watch a lot of Georgia, just highlights, seeing or just to the game alone. So them utilizing the tight ends just shows how like deadly they can be with even with Pickens. Like just shows how deadly receivers can be when they utilize tight ends, having the like outside open up.
Yep.
So
See, I think you look at tight ends, right, using the mismatch against linebackers. Like I said, slot receivers like Kieris and Lab McConkey, right? They're utilizing their speed for one, but at the same time, you look at their route running, right, and they're creating separation on their defenders, right. You're seeing mismatched linebackers, whether it be the tight ends or the slots, right. The schematics with Todd Monken and things like that is just insane, right. But I see,
yeah,
obviously at the same time, you're looking at, like I said, Ohio State and all these other schools that are going to be able to, to utilize you the best as well, to the best of your abilities as well. So I guess my next question, probably the last one here is, obviously you're looking at, taking some visits, through the spring and summer. Do you have any kind of timeline on your recruitment? Or are you just going to kind of like let things unfold, or are you kind of one of those guys that just want to be done before the season, or what's your
uh,
thoughts on your recruitment right now?
like I know I want to be at least committed before the summer ends. So going into my senior season, I can not like not say chill because that's not what I'm planning to do, but have a decision, know where I'm going,
Yeah,
or like you know, so I can establish that relationship and start working out like even more for the next level, like doing those type of workouts, so I can know
I,
for sure where I'm going.
I got you.
Recruiting, like yeah, I would say I'll like let everything unfold during the summer. What happens happens, and what doesn't doesn't. So because I really can't control like recruiting because it's all about if the college coaches see me and if they like me, so you can't really control that.
Yeah, no doubt. Obviously, it's just one of those things where everybody has their timeline, everybody has plans of action type things. So it's always interesting to hear, whether you talk to anybody, whether you talk to whoever, some people like to wait until early signing day. Some people like to wait, and go ahead and get it over with, right? Who knows, right? So that's why I always like to ask that question, because you kind of get a feel where people are, right? You kind of have to do that.
Yeah, and I feel
So
like committing
go.
earlier, like if you commit earlier, like say, like it's not like it's opening up, like the position's open for commitment. Say if I wait to commit and somebody else commit, like
Your
that
spot's
spot
gone.
already
Yeah,
filled.
your spot's gone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
That
the
makes
game's
complete
already
that makes complete sense, man. So before we wrap this up, I do want to give you a chance to, if people want to find you, right? If people want to find you, where can they find you, man?
yeah. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter. Instagram is Barry Tate. Twitter is Amari_Tate. That's about it.
There's your Twitter right there for people if they're
Yeah.
curious. But yeah, no. So look, obviously, you've got a busy summer, you got a busy spring, right? And then you got the season up here in North Carolina playing some ball. Looking forward to the senior season, man. It's going to be wild to see. Um, and listen, thanks again for hopping on and taking some time and kind of picking your brain with your gameplay, your recruitment, and giving us an update on that, man. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. Hey, with that note, make sure you go give my man a follow. Like I said, you saw the Twitter right there at Amari_Tate. With that being said, have a great rest of your day, and we'll catch up to you soon.